Hello and welcome to the I Love Me Lab show. My name is Gail Buck, and I'm an NLP Master Life Coach, meditation instructor, and a seeker of happiness. And each week, we're going to bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover additional ways of self-care, self-love, and becoming a healthier, happier you. So thanks for spending time with us today, and let's let the show begin. Hey, so I am so excited today. I'm here with my dear friend, Ivette Pinela, and we're going to talk about a lot of really great things. But I wanted you all first to know that I love to travel and I'm a seeker, and I think I can safely call you a fellow seeker. Would you agree with that, Yvette?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we actually met at a meditation retreat and training in India. What year was that? 2016?
Was it?
I think so. And
Yeah.
did you stay for the instructor portion of the training? I
I
don't
did
recall.
not. I did not.
So at that training, through the whole thing, I don't know if you remember, but Lewis Howe was there as well. I've
Yes,
become a
yes,
huge
yes.
fan of Lewis's
Oh
podcasts.
my
Yes.
gosh.
And what's super cool is that he oftentimes refers to his time when he was training, doing the meditation training in India, which is kind of cool.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I want to hear about you because as I was gathering information, I also saw that this past year, you did a lot of traveling. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I travel a lot for different classes, but mainly I've been getting prerequisites to become an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, which I just did over the last few days. So that's been really amazing. But I love, of course, we met in India. Like actually, we met before India, but have met in different places, which is amazing.
That's right. And it was One World Academy in Los Angeles, which was meditation, right?
Right. Was that the first class that we had met at, or was it? Did I think we weren't you also in South Beach?
Yes.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, yeah. The different
And
meditations. And also, I don't know if we met at Tony Robbins Mastery University, which I attended as well.
yeah, I think like we have all those people in common for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's fun.
And I think that's also where, our passion for travel, definitely because I was with the fire team and for 3 years I traveled to each and every one of their events. And that turned me on to One World Academy and so on and so on. Seeking just takes you places.
I know, isn't that crazy? And meeting people that are of the same mindset, right? Where we just want to
Yeah.
grow and we want to be better, and some of this constant search for growth, really.
For consciousness,
Yeah.
expansion, truth, you know, just everything more. We just always want more.
More, right?
And
And the
then,
more you have, the more you realize it's like, oh my gosh, we don't know anything yet. There's so much
yes.
out there. So with that, tell me about this training that you just completed because I'm super curious.
Well, I'll start off with since we were talking about Tony Robbins, and this is people ask me about being around Tony Robbins. And so being in Tony Robbins was amazing. And certainly he has the ability as a coach to definitely change people.
Mhm.
And being in that environment, although it was totally amazing, I kind of always wondered, like, I would always look and admire how people, we would use the word, pop, like popcorn, like people were just popping all over the place. They go to a 4-day event and, I was in the environment, steeping in the environment, but I did not really relate to that. Like, it was like the more that we were asking for, it was like, I didn't feel like where I was at really matched where I saw other people. So therefore, through different channels, basically one day I asked a question And it came to me in this form of access consciousness. And I was like, oh my gosh, this was the question I was asking for. And it was about a specific modality that I always saw. And this led me down.
When you say ask a question, you asked a question to an individual or to the universe or to yourself?
So I was saying, I actually, usually when I ask out loud, but it's out loud to myself, but like, universe, this is what I'm looking for now. And it's something that I'm asking for, like, hey, what would it take to find this? What would it take to create this? What would it be like to be this? You know? So I'm definitely, and ironically, that is a big part of access consciousness. And that's literally how it gravitated to me, by asking a question.
So I have a crazy story for maybe later, but during a Tony Robbins event, actually, but it was the same thing in asking the universe, but it was also kind of like when you're asking and you're hearing the answer, at least for me, it's very intuitive. It's like in your gut, you totally know.
Yeah.
Does that what you experience as well?
Yeah, definitely. I would just say that, we have this level of awareness, this level of knowing. And I would say definitely sometimes we ask a question, but sometimes I know I'm asking a question, but to just space, meaning maybe I don't have the awareness quite yet. I mean, I think we're definitely entrained to be like, okay, there's got to be an answer to this, but the answer doesn't always create more. It's like, okay, if you had gotten an answer, great, but maybe that answer led you to something bigger. It just
Yeah.
set you on a path. So it's really just you're using that level of consciousness and awareness. And whether it's the answer, is it the final stop, or did it just get you to closer, warmer, hotter to something
Shift you maybe in
bigger?
the right direction, right?
Yeah,
Shifting you in the
yeah.
right direction.
Just towards something bigger that somehow innately you have been asking for. Maybe you've been asking for this since you were 4 years old, but you're not really aware of that particular desire yet, or maybe you haven't voiced it. Do you know what I mean? It's something like we're always asking for something, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this access consciousness, does that help you tune into that more, or what exactly is that?
What exactly is consciousness?
Is access consciousness the
Oh,
training that you just took?
okay. Um, what is it? I'm going to say it's whatever it wants to be. Because I'm like, wow, should we define it?
Well, it's a course that you're taking, correct?
Yes, yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's a training for sure. A way of learning to ask questions, to create. It's based on ask and receive. Like, I think I've become just much clearer on, for example, like in the beginning of this call, like I started with questions, but I started with questions to tap into the consciousness of, okay, what is this? What can I tap into? What can I tap into that would create what we are both asking for? More of that. Like, just that in itself created a space of even more clarity, even though I wasn't actually asking for an answer. I was asking for a space to tap into.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
when yeah, I know it's all yes. Like I'm trying to expand my mind around that a little bit. So
Right.
I was reading a little bit about the access consciousness, and it refers to something called bars. And I
Okay.
think you talked to me about bars one time. What is that about?
So the access bars are the 32 points on your head. So Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, actually had had downloaded this work. And so it's now known as the access bars. And it's really amazing. It's like you would delete the cookies on your computer. It kind of defragments your mind. And it's a one-day class that I also teach.
Mm.
And, what has it done for me? Wow. It's cleared away all the bits and pieces that just aren't me, that I thought was me. Thoughts, beliefs, emotions, all of that.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you, so in a lot of different, and I know that you've studied NLP as well and
Yeah.
different modalities, right? And so there are things like, limiting beliefs and all our constant chatter, like even the meditation, right? Slowing down the chatter. So is this another way of clearing out some of those beliefs, those stories that we tell ourselves, the constant chatter that isn't benefiting us? Is this another tool to be able to do that?
It's definitely another tool to do that. But it's because I've studied and done NLP and done just different forms. It's applied magic. It's basically if somebody were able to just put their fingers for a few seconds and and clear the energetic space of that thought or belief pattern.
Ooh.
And yeah, ooh.
It's almost like a little magic touch, right? Like where you're touching and
Yeah.
you're able to kind of zap it.
Yeah, zap it, and so you can add some words or facilitation. So we use the access clearing statement. So the points have different names: healing, joy, sadness. So what if we put our fingers just over by our ears? It's our implant band, so a lot of like implants can get stuck right here. So there's a ridge right there. And so I just put my fingers and I can just touch it lightly. So I'm doing this to myself right now. And it just like feels really nice. And what if I did that like while I was watching TV? So like like how you're a very sensitive person. Can you watch TV and like all of a sudden, if it's an action film, like your body feels like the energy of the character. So how
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
that downloading into us, right?
Right.
How is that affecting our thoughts, feelings, emotions? And what if a movie that we're watching taps into our belief system some way? Whether it's something like watch any documentary, right?
Oh, I used to be addicted to like scary movies and horror films or those type of criminal, whatever. I just thought it was so interesting. And I finally learned that for me to sleep better, I don't watch. When I was a kid, my dad or younger, my dad would tell me that I shouldn't watch those things, right? And I didn't, get it because I understood those. I didn't understand because I enjoyed it. And now I get it, right? So I don't download any of that stuff into my system anymore. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And so what if you didn't have to be like, okay, so did you at one point enjoy watching those movies?
Yes.
Okay, great. And what if you could still enjoy watching those movies without having the energy of like, I don't do that anymore because it affects me? So what if it didn't have to affect you is what I'm saying. So what if we could delete, destroy, and uncreate all those things that we could get to a place where we had no point of view about it? Like where the belief didn't stick us, where maybe your dad's belief didn't stick you. Right? Okay, because you mentioned that, right? So it was clear. It's like, is this your belief system? Because you started out by saying you clearly enjoyed it. And then did somebody else's belief system stick you? And therefore, the more you watched it, it suddenly came up and then you felt uneasy about it. So who did that belong to?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Ah!
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point.
So thank you, because that definitely contributed to showing you exactly what happens. It's like, wow, you can be enjoying something and then, mom or dads or somebody in your lifetime could tell you, okay, that's wrong, that's not good, wearing short skirts, the way that we dress, our makeup, it's all, is it our point of view? Do you want to be living from, what do you want to create in the world? What is you bringing your authenticity to the world?
Right.
And what is that? And if you so chose to enjoy a horror movie, like maybe it just made you laugh, like maybe it didn't affect you in the way that you were told it was supposed to affect you.
I don't know if it made me laugh. I used to love the adrenaline rush of the, like when you're, that anticipation, someone's going to come around the corner and then they do, and you jump or you hit the person sitting next to you because it's a natural reflex. I mean, I used to think that was so fun. So that's really valid.
I love it because again, that was, you said it was fun. It was fun for your body.
Yes, it was. It was like an event. It was like an adventure. That's right.
That's so cool. And that's it. And like, if I was listening, okay, like my body doesn't have that point of view. It wasn't fearful. It wasn't real. It was fun. That's how your body got to receive it.
That's interesting. That's good.
Oh!
Yeah. So doing like the bars and the different points could eliminate the beliefs that I've attached to in the example. I don't know if scary movies, well, maybe it is a perfect example. It would attach or release the beliefs that I along the way attached to watching the movies.
So how about the beliefs and maybe the judgments that you have of possibly actually having fun rather than being like everybody else that is scared? What if you were in judgment because you were actually just enjoying it and having fun and that your body was enjoying this? Like, were you in judgment of that?
Wow.
Yeah. What if we just started and create all the judgment that's come up in our bodies and however that shows up? For some people, how does that come up through whatever? We'll say eating, the way we exercise. Like there's an abundance available to us. And what if we didn't have to run our lives that way?
Wow. So this podcast, the I Love Me Lab, is really in thinking through it, I really want to reach whoever wants to listen, to this. I'm just totally open and loving that. But when I'm thinking about who I'm really talking to, it's like women that are at a certain point in their lives, right? And I think women especially have all this judgment on ourselves and about how it should be. And as we get older, I just recently turned 64. And as we get older, how our life is supposed to be. And right now I do a lot of consulting and coaching to salespeople. And it drives me crazy when they'll refer to, oh, my customer's older. And, when you get older, I go, what does that mean? And they go, well, you don't use technology. And I'm like, who doesn't use technology? And by the way, these customers that you're talking about, how old are they? Oh, they're 45. And it's like, holy moly. Well, let me show you how to use the technology that you're going to start using the day forward, right? So all these labels that we put on ourselves, these labels that we put on other people. And here's another example. Last weekend, I went dancing with a group of friends, and the women were dying to go out dancing, but they couldn't dance until they had a couple more drinks, or they couldn't dance until their partner took them out there. And it's like, I would end up just going out and dancing by myself. And it's like, why do we put these limitations, or judgments on ourselves, that you're sitting there tapping your feet and you're dying to hit the dance floor, but you don't do it because why? Because you think you look foolish, or you think other people are going to be watching you, because they're probably not. And if they do, so what?
Yeah.
So what, right? So,
yeah. So, and then, what if we just had a simple tool that would create that change instantaneously?
Yeah.
And like, whatever that would be. And like, the space of that. Like, I love how you described it, because it's like the space of holding back.
Mm-hmm.
And who are you being at that moment? Are you truly being you when you're choosing to not dance?
When you're dying to dance,
When you're
yeah.
dying to dance,
That's right.
okay. I love that. And so truly, like, what kind of a world would we live in if we all had that energy, but not holding back?
Mhm.
Like, not that we're not living in a world of dying right now, but definitely as a choice of every choice that we're making, are we truly living? How's that? You
Yeah, I
know,
like
if we
that.
made that the investment rather than the words you use, we're choosing to die, to not feel the joy that we were born to be. Like, our bodies, like, tell us when we're in absolute joy. Yeah, I'll have more of that. That just, like, that
That's right.
really rocks. You know, that adrenaline. It's like, my body is alive.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Dancing for that person, it may be dancing. And then, you know, what if she could just delete exactly the whatever it was, the judgment, the thought pattern, the belief system, and
The
that
fear for whatever reason of just going
yeah,
out there and dancing by herself or with her,
yeah.
girlfriend or with me. I mean, come on. So, so
It's
I'm just a crazy lady out
fun.
there dancing by myself. It's like, I could, it's like, whatever, I'm dancing. So,
I love it.
yeah.
And how awesome that despite it, you know, it's all about a choice. And I say that
Yeah.
because you're choosing to live your reality, to be in your joy, and to dance. And how does it get any better? And no wonder they want to be around you. They want to go out dancing with you.
I don't know. It was fun. And certainly, I'm always searching as well. So finding tools that help me get out of my way, and the things that stop me from doing, whatever it is that I really want to do.
I love it. And you're doing it, girl. You're doing it.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And so are you. And so I also want to talk about, I read 27 years, you've been a Rolf, advanced practitioner of structural engineering, also known as Rolfing, correct?
Correct. Structural integration.
Structural integration. So tell us about Rolfing.
Oh, wow. I came to the work as a client. When I was 21, I got hit by a car. And when I was 23, I fell on my tailbone in an accident that I had in a restaurant that I was working at. Long story short, they tried to tell me that I'd never sit, stand, or walk for more than 20 minutes at a time.
Oh, my God.
And I was not ready to accept that as a truth for my body at 23. So I decided, after getting all forms of treatment, to go to massage school. 7 years of doing massage really trashed my body, and I got introduced to Rolfing and changed my life. And ironically, the founder, Ida Rolf, meant this as, you don't always hear about it, but it's like conscious body work. It's about alignment, physical alignment, but it aligns different parts of you that you're not always aware of.
So how is it different from a deep massage, for example?
Well, typically when I hear the word massage, the mindset is muscular, whereas I work on fascia, meaning I work on the wrapping that's around the muscles. So if your muscles were wearing clothes that was, way too tight. So if you went and got a massage, but your problem was actually in your fascia, and they are working those muscles and using lotion, they're not affecting where the problem is actually at. In other words, they're not affecting or lengthening this tissue because you can't touch it with oil. You gotta, there's a way to touch it directly. So a deep tissue massage is generally somebody applying deep pressure, I would say more vertically into the table, which typically is going to add a level of compression to your already compressed body.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, when we were in India, you gave me a short session. I know. I remember you had people lined up to spend some time with you. You were very, very generous with your time in our breaks. You were always working, working on somebody, and I got to benefit from a short session. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I still never could understand what fascia was, and I believe you explained it to me sort of like when you peel an orange, it's that white thing between the actual orange and the skin. That is it, kind of like
Correct.
netty thing. That's what that is. Okay.
So the concept that people have of fascia is that it's just superficial and just under the skin, but it's not. It's like a Spider-Man suit. So it's a web and it's a full body suit. So you can't I can take one piece of the bodysuit, just like a sheet on your bed. You know that if you tug on a corner, it's probably going to affect a few other corners on the bed. So, but what if you had, let's just say, for example, 3 bodysuits? So what if the innermost bodysuit, the space between it also affected the middle bodysuit and then the outer bodysuit, right? How about like your bed? Can you make your bed from the top sheet? Don't you start to see the wrinkles in the deeper layers of the sheets underneath? Yeah. Same concepts. So we organize the body in kind of in layers, from superficial to deeper, but we're also realigning the structure. So we're really holding the whole body, not just the musculature. When I go in and realign a leg, it's realigning the ankle, the arches, the tibia bone. And so it's the frame of the tent and the whole tent have to be reorganized.
So I was Googling information on it, and it said that typically you do it in 10 sessions because there is a process for that. Is that correct? Is that your experience?
Yes, it is. And there are other practitioners that may not work that way, for whatever reason, what people choose or how they're guided as their options. I definitely am that type of practitioner. So with me, you would come in for an intro session to get a taste of the work, and then you would decide to go through the journey of the 10 series, which is basically the first session sets up the second sets up the third. So we're really rebuilding the foundation of your body rather than like, if you need roof work, but somebody comes in, but we could just spackle it, we could just do this. And I'm like, that's not going to hold because there are all these, like, what's supporting the roof? Like the roof isn't just collapsing. It's like the whole thing underneath the house is like, wait a minute, we can't just redecorate that room. Right. We gotta like do some restructuring here because your house is falling apart.
Wow. Okay. So in the context of, so also typically who would go for a Rolfing session? What would inspire you to go for something like that?
Honestly, I do say anybody can, but who's willing to choose it is a different question. What I see in my practice, the same people that are choosing massage are definitely choosing structural integration, but the awareness that maybe the massage just isn't affecting them the same way. Like you used to get massages and the massage used to help and you would get massages weekly and it was really great. But now that massage lasts a day. Now you feel the same. There is no change. That's probably a really good thing to see that, hey, there's something else going on here that's not getting touched.
So it's more like it feels really good, but it's not really changing anything. Would that be?
Exactly. Okay. It's not changing, at least in the way that the body's asking to change. And so, people that go to chiropractors, again, they say the same thing, it's not doing anything. And so again, chiropractic is more, it's based on the spine and aligning the bone, but typically I would say it's spine work. You have some that will adjust ankles and wrists and elbows, but I don't find that a commonality. Mm-hmm. So again, it's just restructuring the body, but it's also teaching the body how to be used. So for example, yesterday I had 2 session 1s. The session 1 is about teaching somebody how to breathe. So first I have to create the space. Then I have to teach you how to use the space. And I say that because both of these women had belief systems that they were entrained, like a lot of people were trained to breathe a certain way in Pilates. In yoga, they teach us another breath. In this, they teach us another breath. But the only problem is that they've never stepped out of that character that believes that that's the way they should be breathing 24 hours out of the day. So if that's the case, that means you're in yoga 24 hours out of the day, you're in Pilates 24 hours out of the day. And you don't know how to just inhale and exhale. Your mind is like, I have to do this first. I have to do this first. And you're basically going into a contraction. So that in itself is a big key. Like, where is it you're going into a contraction and not lengthening? And if you're doing that with your breath, then we've got to, this is the engine. This is the whole engine to your whole body. You inhale, your whole body is supposed to lengthen. And then you exhale. You inhale, you get longer. Your legs should lengthen out of drop out of your diaphragm.
So, wow. Okay. So let's.
Yeah.
So can you do an example of that right now? Can you show us how to breathe? Can you show us how to breathe properly right now?
So showing you would be one thing, but like, again, having the space, but let's have an attempt. But if you put your hands, like one hand in the back, really, if you've seen lungs or a balloon, right, fill up, you would expand in every direction. So if you take a breath, is your back hands expanding back, or is it not moving very much? Or are you just expanding in the front?
I'm expanding in the back too, yeah.
Okay, great. So if you're the mechanism behind your heart, behind your lungs, that's a good way to start your breath. Like, you're expanding everywhere. A good way to see where people aren't doing that is that you'll see that they breathe.
Yeah, in the shoulders.
That's a deep breath. And it could be because that means they're definitely not breathing into the back. When they're doing this to breathe, this is their inhalation, this is their
shoulders
exhalation.
Going up, yeah. For anybody who's
just and it's because they're either contracting their abs, they are not expanding into the back. I'll just say that. So it's just time to figure out what is it they think breathing is, or is this a compensation? Did they get into a car accident and they got stuck in, that energy? Like, it could be a lot of things.
So what about belly breathing? I thought it was important to do belly breathing.
Well, I like to say it's important to breathe wherever you have space. So what if every molecule in your body could expand? And we didn't define that as belly or diaphragm or a specific space. What if when I inhaled, I could feel my toes expand into the earth and my cranium expands like a balloon? So I don't have lung tissue up here, but I can feel that. I can feel my cranium breathing. I can feel my bones move in expansion when I breathe. So that's a whole different story there.
That is. Now, when you go through, the Rolfing sessions that however many that means, right, that benefit you the most, are you able to, does that change the breathing? Or are you working in breathing exercises and educating your clients?
No, that what I just gave you is pretty much the education. It's guiding you to do that. So I observe. I put my hands on you. I'm like, what do you, where's it coming from? And So as far as exercises, there isn't, but there really is a choice to make. Do you let go of the belief system that you are in Pilates all the time and that you must engage your core? Or can you allow yourself to breathe and expand? And then can you practice that? Can you choose to practice that? Because if you've been doing that for 20 years of your life, you know, your body's just asking for some help right now. You're like, your back hurts, your hip hurts, but we got to start with this breath, you know?
So I watched an interview with you, and I believe you spoke about like a child who had been in gymnastics or something, I don't know, working on kids. So tell me a little bit about working on children.
Yeah. So people are definitely fascinated. They would think like, why would you work on a child? But children, like if you look at them now, like just say they weren't even born with something, right? But this one, she did gymnastics since the age of 3. So talk about some belief patterns. What if your belief pattern at 3 years old was how they're teaching you to stand in gymnastics, but you suddenly started to live your life like you were always in gymnastics? Where do you place your feet like a gymnast? How do you hold your chest like a gymnast? At 3 years old, you're already getting entrained. And if by the time you're 7 and you're saying your body hurts, well, it's part of that same thing that happens to adults. And then secondly, what if you were born with scoliosis, hip dysplasia, clubfoot? The children are sometimes born with things into the world. So that's how they came in. So I would say definitely there's somebody that might be aware and like is trying to help in some way. And maybe they show up that way as well. But look at backpacks right now. Whether you're an adult carrying a backpack or a child holding a backpack, how much is that going to push you forward and throw your whole rib cage forward as you're walking to school with this heavy backpack?
Right.
Okay, so how many years are you doing that for? So could you be like 16 years old and have back pain? Okay, here's another pattern. Computers. For the last like 20 years, or 30 years, they've definitely had a contribution to people's bodies. Okay, so kids right now, they have an iPad at a really young age, right? So how often are they like
hunched over?
They may not have even before they have a phone, they are on their iPads. So what's going on? If I'm always doing this, like where's that going to show up?
Right.
In my body, right? So we got a backpack, we got an iPad. So, again, we have the same range. It's not like it hasn't been in their bodies a long time, but definitely everybody is different. Like, just like each person comes in like, I don't feel that. I've been sitting down for 20 years. I don't have any back problems. Like there's nothing, nothing in my world, and they're not, maybe they're up here all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and it also,
they have another.
Yeah, it also brings me to where I was going to go next is, okay, so like Tony Robbins, let's come back to Tony again, I don't know if you've gotten his newest book, Life Force. Oh my gosh, I got it on the pre-release and it came in last week and I'm loving every page of it. But there's all this,
really?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
What are you loving about it?
Being, made aware of things that are available for us already that we don't know about, like all the research they're doing with stem cell, all the things that are available for not necessarily anti-aging, they call it more longevity, to live longer. And so my question from that was going to be for you. So in reaching people that are 45, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, because it seems that everything goes up to when you're 50. And then it's like, what happens to the rest of us, right? We drop off the edge of the planet. So in looking at something, so I'm one of these people that's really lucky, knock on wood. I don't have any backache or joint ache or anything. But I'm all about,
Beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I feel very fortunate. But I'm all about preventative medicine as well. And so looking for things that are going to help keep me limber longer and feeling. I don't think about my age at all until, I went in for coffee at Dunkin' Donuts the other day. I was standing behind 3 people in line, and I went in to pay, and the young cashier says, "Oh, I forget the price, but let's say 269." And I took out my debit card to put it in the little thing, and she reached out, stopped my hand, and she goes, "Oh no, wait, wait, wait. You get the senior discount." So so things like that happen all the time. These young, beautiful souls that are doing something really nice and wanting to save me a little bit of money are the ones that remind me that I'm actually a senior citizen. So I know, I
Awesome.
know. So I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you very much." But so I would look for Rolfing for something preventative and to stay feeling the way I feel now, which is
Yeah,
wonderful. And is that something that's good for that? Just kind of breaking it up and keeping limber, or is it not?
it would. I think it would be really great, awesome, and I think that more people that choose it, it's because they something came up in their life that you needed to find a way. Like I can tell you that Tony Robbins needed to find a way many times.
Yeah.
And that's where that book has come out of
Mhm.
necessity, his own
Mhm.
necessity, which is amazing that he's bringing all that information, but it's really your own journey. Do I have a lot of healthy people coming to me? No. Do I have a lot of people that are thinking, I feel really young, I feel like I don't, there's no problem. There's more of like, there's no problem, why would I go? Rather than, hey, I want to check this out and see how it would contribute to my body. Because it's more like now, yes, and it's an investment. So would it be good?
So
Absolutely.
so I
You
recently
know,
went to a new physician that I heard of. It's all integrative medicine, and they measure so many blood tests just to check to see where are my vitamins strong, am I deficient, where are there I mean, I don't think I have any food allergies, but I could. Is there something that I'm eating that's causing more inflammation? And it's all about that. It's also a little bit expensive, but for me it's preventative,
yeah.
because preventative is going to be a lot less money than if I get sick, right?
Sure. And what would it take for more
Yes.
people to have that in their question? In other words, like as a way of looking at the body, like to invest in health rather to wait till their body is screaming
So
for
yeah,
help.
so think about it like when you have your automobile and it's time for an oil
Yeah.
change and you take it for the oil change. You don't ignore that, because if you ignore it, your car is
Yeah.
gonna break down. Well, why don't we do that with our bodies? Why do we only go to
Right.
Rolfing or to the doctor or whatever when we're feeling
Yeah.
sick, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it really depends on where you're coming from. Like, okay, so I love what you're saying, but how did you arrive at that? Like, was there any time in your life or was there somebody in your life that presented like that and that's the choice that you made?
Which part of it?
So you're like more into investing in your health before something
Right.
happens. You're that person. You fall into that
Yes.
box. Was there somebody in your life that displayed to you that they didn't take care of their bodies, and therefore you made that choice based on somebody else's actions?
There are a lot of people in my life that I love, that I would see their eating patterns, that I would not want
Uh,
to put that food in my body. I've been a researcher and searcher for a long time, but especially since I had children, 42 years ago. I started reading about
okay.
nutrition and things like that, and so putting the right things in my body. And I'm not very consistent with exercise, and the fact that I do take breaks away from it, but then always jump into it. My whole life, it's kind of a little bit of a roller coaster, but I always go back into it. And then just really reading and researching and seeing that these
Hmm.
things that's why when I saw Tony's newest book, I jumped at it, because I was like, what are other
I
things
love
that
it.
I don't, it's not going to come well, I don't know what I don't know. Right. So what's available
Right.
out there for me to feel
I love
better.
it.
I mean, we could get into a whole other topic, and another guest that I'm going to have is my gynecologist, because even like, for example, sometimes when we get older, sometimes even according to her, when you're younger, sex can be painful. Your hormones change and sex can be painful. And I know a lot of women my age that it just, well, that's just it. It's just like you think that you got old and it's just not in your life anymore. And it's like, no, there's, there's got to be things you can do. And there are things that you can do, right? So finding how can I
Right.
take the best care of me so that I can live my
I
best
love
life.
it.
And so that's why I'm really interested in
Well,
seeing you soon to get my body Rolfed on.
I
And I'd
love
love
it.
to actually later talk to you about the bars. I think that sounds, I'm all about any tools for my clients and for myself to be able to get rid
I
of,
love it.
these beliefs that we have that don't serve us. So
Well, I'm excited. I am available to come teach.
perfect.
You're in South Carolina
North
or North
Carolina and
Carolina?
Charlotte. I'm in
North
Charlotte.
Carolina. All
Yeah.
right. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Let's create a class for
Oh my
sure.
gosh, that'd be awesome.
And I just want to say I would like to acknowledge you on all the choices that you're making. Because when you were speaking, I was like, it's just something to like really receive who you are and to acknowledge the choices that you're being in the world.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. And I acknowledge you. You're just, I mean, when I'm looking at all the different places and things that you're exploring, and always to be have a higher level of consciousness and to be a better person and to see what more is out there, I just think is really beautiful, and I honor that very much in you. And I think that's what attracts me to you so much as a friend. And I'm checking you out periodically in Facebook. It's like, where the heck is she now? Like, you went to Croatia for one of your trainings, right?
I went to Croatia for 2 weeks and did 2 classes and got to go see Croatia. Like, I just love all the places where consciousness
That's
takes me.
awesome. So let me ask you, if somebody listening would like to get in contact with you for more information, or they'd like to set up a schedule with you, how would they reach you?
So I am located in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So if they are in the area, great. They can find me on Instagram. My website is rolfmessy.com, ROLFMESI.com. And if not, there are other practitioners all over the world. Just probably Googling 2 keywords, structural integration and Rolfing are 2 keywords. There are some association pages that you can look into. I'll see if I can get those to you so you
Post
can
those.
jot
Mhm.
them down somewhere. Yeah, post them. And hopefully you can find a really great practitioner close to you. If not, you can always jump on a plane. I do. I actually jump on a plane and fly to Denver to get my sessions. So yeah, that's how
That's
dedicated I am.
awesome. That's awesome. And then I have another question for you. Oh, and also, do you do like coaching and things like? I mean, do you do like virtual coaching so somebody could?
I
Okay,
do.
so if they want to reach you
I
for
do.
coaching,
You can just reach me through the Access Consciousness website, where also there are lots of other facilitators. So if you're looking for maybe a bars class, a body process, like there's a bunch of information, and there are practitioners all around the
but if
world
they wanted to reach
also.
you, how would they reach you, Yvette?
But if they wanted
Yes.
to, you would locate me, Ivette Pinela, and you would do a search for me as a facilitator, and that will allow you to
Right.
contact
And
me.
you're also on Facebook and Instagram, and they can reach you through there.
Correct.
Perfect. And then one final question, because this is the I Love Me lab. So if we were really in a laboratory, well, we are in a laboratory for self love, so that we can be better for ourselves, we can be better for those that we love, and we can be better for the universe. What would be, and you could offer one ingredient to that cocktail, what would that ingredient be?
Joy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I would like to add joy as an ingredient to your cocktail.
Thank you. Well, we'll take it. We'll take it. And Ivette, thank you so much for being here with us today. And after this podcast,
My
yes,
pleasure.
I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much for listening to this conversation. If you enjoyed it and want more information on our guests and resources, please visit ilovemelab.com. And please, if you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share with a friend. Hey, there's more great episodes to come. So until next time.